Alright, hello everyone and welcome to Gaffrethon for our final episode of the Any History event. The time has finally come and I'm joined today as usual by Myth on commentary, and today our runner is Seseon. How are you guys doing?
Hey, how's it going?
And you Seseon, how are you doing today?
I am doing alright.
Doing alright?
Hoping for this run to not get that bad.
No, it will be perfect. I believe in you. Alright, so let's start with a couple questions for today's runner. So Seseon, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cecian. I am a Chilean speedrunner. And this was my first speed game, so it's really fun to be here and see how the route has changed since I started speedrunning and before I started to. So yeah, that's it.
Alright, when did you play Minish Cap for the first time? Was it as a kid like most of us, or was it later on in your life?
Oh yeah, it was when I was like probably 6 or 7 years old because my older brother, used to play like the big boy Zelda games, so I get to play Minish Cap,
I see.
and then I played the other ones too, but when I grew up a little.
Alright, cool. And so, when really did you consider speedrunning TMC? Was it later on? How did you get to
Yeah,
know the scene?
it was when the COVID started in
Alright.
2020 because a friend asked me how fast could I uh, beat the game without just because of my experience playing the game over the years. So I did like a casual glitchless get playthrough and did like 6 hours. And then I told my friend like this was really fast. I will check what's the world record, and it was like 138 or something at the time. And I said no way, I want to do that. So yeah, here we are 3 years and a half later.
Yeah, I can imagine your disbelief. How can you go so fast? I was really fast myself.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you told us this was your first speed game, but what other speed game do you run? I know you run Super Mario 64.
Yeah, I've I've run a lot of different games during these 3.5 years, but like right now I do Minish Cap and SM64, and I plan to do like Ocarina of Time that I have already done too, and Link's Awakenings and other Zelda games. I mainly like Zelda games, so that's my main focus on speedrunning.
All right. So yeah, both 2Ds and 3D games. So.
Yeah.
Right, cool. And so currently on Twitch, you're doing mainly SM64, or are you doing both SM64 and Minish Cap at the same time?
Both. I
Both.
actually have been doing more Minish Cap than SM64 lately
All right.
because I am hyped with the new route and everything.
Okay. And now about what we are doing here, which is showcasing all the routes of Minish Cap. You started running in 2020. You said so. It was Rebel Hub route, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of learned as well. Well, you were there when the Pirate route came to be, and this one Octoclip is the newest one. So did you learn it especially for the event, or was it something you were running last time you were actively playing the game as well?
Um, neither of the two. The last time I played the game, I was doing Pihad route because it's the one that I knew how to do. But like a month or 2 months ago, I like wanted to learn Octoclip, so I started learning it, like asking people how to do things. Mainly Gato because he speaks Spanish too, so it's easier to 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 communicate with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, asking for like advice on manips and the tricks. Uh, yeah, then I started running, and then you asked me to do the route, so it was lucky that I was actually doing this route now.
All right. Very well. One last question for you, Susan. You know the rules. What do you like better between waffles and donuts?
Waffles,
Waffles.
100%.
Oh, let's go. Thank you very much. All right. Then it's time to switch to the other scene, and we will be ready to start the run anytime soon. You can unpause the game. Alright, perfect. So, whenever you're ready, I can handle the timer on myself. I think everything's right on the overlay. And yeah. Whenever...
yeah, I will do the hard research, so I don't know. Should I say something or just start the game and you
No, start it. I will handle it.
Okay.
We know the timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I will start now then.
Alright. And so this is the beginning of our final run. So first thing first, Citizen had to do a hard reset, and most people recently have been doing a soft reset. That's because he's playing on emulator, and since he expects to potentially PB, he wants this run to be valid. So that's why he did a hard reset at the beginning to
You do have inputs displayed, don't you?
Oh yeah, I have it on my local record.
Oh, you got local recording, cool.
Yeah, but yeah. And so, what can we expect today for this Octo clip route? It's slightly faster than last week, but it's not gonna be too different, is it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of differences. So if you remember a couple of weeks back, we had the flippers skip route where we went and got the magic boomerang instead of going to get the flippers, and then did some tricks in droplets to skip having to use the flippers to get around. Well, immediately after that, there was a much harder route found called bracelet skip that does some horrible frame perfect trick and saved a bunch of time, but it was kind of really scary to go for because of the success rate was way lower than doing the regular route. We've got the kind of the same situation going here, where what we saw last week with the P-hat clip route, that's kind of like what we're thinking of as like the regular route, and then this is going to be doing a really hard trick that's got a really low success rate and hoping that you can save a lot of time with it.
Yeah, you can save a lot of time with it, but if you mess it up 3, 4, 5 times in a row, it starts to be not as worth it anymore. And yeah, kind of the same situation as Myth said, flipper skip versus bracelet skip. We are in the bracelet skip of the modern times, except it's not exactly the same. We will see it later, but in bracelet skip you basically skip stuff and then you had to do the very hard trick later. There you actually have to prepare for it quite earlier and do the very hard trick in Temple of Droplets, which is earlier than Palace of Winds, being the 5th dungeon, but still quite challenging, and not everyone wants to go for that route.
I haven't figured out like what proportion of the way through the run it is, but I would guess that it's about the same, just because of how much skips we've had to save time at the end of the run and stuff.
Before as well. In the Castle Walls is done earlier.
Yeah.
In a way, it pushed later. But as usual, the early game is gonna be exactly the same until we enter Cave of Flames. It's gonna be perfectly glitchless, except for the guard skip if you count that as a glitch, which I guess you can. And then Cave of Flames is gonna be the same as in the Webble Hop route, and basically the first difference we're gonna see between the previous route and that one is gonna be right after Ocarina, or during Fortress of Wind, because we will need some extra keystones. So yeah, what the spirit of that route? How do you octoclip?
Yeah, so how did Octoclip come about? So this was back in 2021. Solidified Gaming had discovered the P-hat clip, Chronal clip, and stair clips. And later, so they discovered all of that in about springtime, and then if we fast forward to the autumn, they were looking at more stuff with the game. They realized that if they if you have your shield out and you walk into an enemy, you get recoiled. If you use the ocarina, the frame that you get hit by an enemy with your shield, you kind of slide as you play the ocarina. And during that sliding animation, Link doesn't update what kind of tiles he's on. He gets like a temporary OG ocarina glitch slide. And you can use that to bypass certain things. Like you can use it from the top of a staircase. There's at the top of the staircase to be able to stay on layer 2. And if there's no doorway that you can get ocarina glitch from, you can use that to get out of bounds. But Solidify didn't like that as being the only use of it, because all that it did was saved 1 second in Palace, which is not even worth going for. We'll see it in the TAS, but we won't see it in RTA
ever.
For a while. So they looked for some other things, and then they realized, oh, we can use it to go through a pot that we've just pushed and then cancelled the pushing animation by dying. Which means we can get to the other side of it, and then we can use the pot to push us into the wall. Which is great, because then we have more ability to get through walls. And they found the perfect spot to do that in Templar Droplets, where we can clip through the corner of some blocks and get to the Octo fight early without having to activate any of the switches, and without having to get the flippers, very importantly. We could go and go to Octo without using the switches before, but it would require going very far out of the way, going to get the lily pad, and then doing some outbounds movement with the lily pad. But
this
saved a lot of time.
And this required the flippers as well, which is something we skip right now, and we still want to skip it.
Yeah, you can skip. You can get to the lily pad without the flippers.
Oh, really?
But it's very slow. And it turns out to not be worthwhile doing. It's faster to just go and hit the switches. But yeah, so they figured out that you do this complicated setup and then do a frame perfect trick, you can clip into Octo early.
Is it just a 1 frame, or is it 2 frames perfect in a row or something?
It is it's a tight setup, but the hardest set of inputs is a single frame perfect input. There are some other, some parts of the setup are tight frame windows, but none of them are frame perfect. So it's technically 1 single frame perfect input, but it's not as easy as something like an
ocarina glitch.
Or even a cutscene ocarina glitch. Because with the cutscene ocarina glitch, all it is just trying to do a frame perfect input at the right timing. This is trying to do a frame perfect input with the right timing, but chaining a bunch of other things to be perfect. Because if you mess up any of the other things, everything's gonna fail.
Yeah, it's like it's only 1 frame perfect input, but the timing itself changes. So you have to know on which frame you have to press, and that's not really. I think that's very easy.
We've got RTA setups though for it. So when it was originally discovered, everyone looked at it and went, "Ew, no, not touching that."
Like me.
For about a month. And then I was like, yeah, sure, let's go for it. Let's try and make an RTA setup for this. And I gave it a shot, and I came up with something that was a starting point but didn't really work. But then Vlak and TGH had a look at it and was like, this is definitely RTA viable, let's try and make setups for it. Vlak came up with a really good setup, but didn't want to actually do it in runs. But TGH took Vlak's one, improved it a little bit more, and started doing it in runs. And within a couple of weeks of starting doing it, they managed to lower the record by about 5 minutes.
Yep, so overall, how much time would that route save compared to PL Clip? Is it 5 minutes? Is it a little bit less? 3 maybe?
So we don't know. We don't think the p-hack clip route, like current record, is fully optimized because TGH was very much at the point of tying Vlak's run with their most recent one and was ready to like start improving it. So they could have improved it maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And currently, the world record that they set with Octo clip is 4 minutes faster than the one set by Vlak.
Yeah, okay, so
It's like 4 minutes 10 seconds exactly.
a good estimate would be 3.5 minutes faster by doing that route, assuming
Yeah.
everything goes right, of course, compared
Yeah,
to
exactly.
P-hat clip.
It's something on that order, definitely, because you're saving about 3 minutes in droplets from doing this, but you're getting an extra time save. One of the main reasons why we need to get the red sword at the time we do in the route is so that we can activate the switches in Templar droplets. And one of the other things is so that we can get to one of the Tingle Brothers. But if you run up 100%, you know that we don't go through that cave to get to the Tingle Brother there, and we can get up to there without using that. We can do a portal jump storage. So if we add that in, and we add in Octoclip, then there's no reason why we need to get the red sword early, and we can delay getting the red sword till after the Templar Droplets dungeon when we've got the water element, which means that we can upgrade our green swords to our red sword, and then immediately to our blue sword, all in one trip to the castle, and that saves about 30 seconds.
So it saves one trip to the sanctuary, that's the name. But you said we saved 3 minutes in droplets alone, right? But
pretty much, yeah.
We have to do some extra stuff to be able to do the trick.
So it actually saves about 4.5 minutes. Okay. We are sacrificing about 1.5 minutes to do some setup. So part of the setup is we need to die as we push a pot. Now, that means we need to have a fairy in a bottle.
We have one bottle. Fairy in Lake Azoji.
Yeah, exactly. We use a fairy to Death Abuse as part of the flipper skip to get to Temple of Droplets. One of the ideas we had was, okay, let's try and make a manipulation setup so that we can kill an enemy in Temple of Droplets and it will drop a fairy. Or we find somewhere in Temple of Droplets that drops a fairy. Then we can bottle that fairy and we can use that to do the Octo clip. Unfortunately, enemies don't drop fairies under most conditions. There are 2 conditions where an enemy will drop a fairy. Either you need to complete all 100 fusions in the game, which we're not doing in an any percent run,
Why not?
You've collected all 130 it's 136? 136 figurines. Basically, do all the fusions or do all the figurines.
And then the game will drop fairies instead of kingstones and or shells, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what the game's doing. It's replacing those items with fairies. Because of that, regular enemies aren't going to drop fairies in Templar Droplets for us.
And there's no pot with a fairy or anything in the whole dungeon?
There is not a single.
God, that dungeon sucks so much.
Yeah, that dungeon is awful. I checked all of the entity data for all of the pots. None of them do. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. So it means we need to bring a second fairy with us, which means we need to get a second bottle. There are 4 bottles in the game. We get one normally on the route. There's one at the shop that we need to take it to the dog and then pour out the dog food. That was pretty slow. Even though we go there, it works out to not be quite as fast as the one that we do get in the run, which is the Smith bottle. So we do a fusion with the Smith, and then a chest spawns
with the bottle
in the
inside.
next area over, and we quickly run over to that and grab it, which is not too slow.
It's quite a shame that it's the one that's the fastest, because the shopkeeper one would be pretty convenient, since, as you said, we go to Lake House where the dog is, and this would be pretty much free, as I guess the only thing you need to do is maybe an OG to get to his shop faster, and then just talk to him.
Yeah, the really it's so slow because we have to shrink in the cafe and then go all through that Minish section to the shop roof and go down and then grow, and then he talks to us and then we get the bottle, and then we need to leave. The fastest way of leaving is literally doing a save and quit. All of that is really slow.
Do you know how much slower that one would be compared to the Smith one? I'm curious.
Sorry.
Like,
can you repeat that?
Yeah. How much slower would it be to get the shopkeeper bottle compared to Smith bottle?
I thought I timed it as like 50 seconds.
50. Okay, yeah, 50 is a lot. But if it was like 30 or less, you could be like, okay, I don't want to bother with an extra RNG manip to get a. Is it one? No, it's two. Wait, you need 2 red kitsune extra anyway, so.
We need a red. So as well as all of the kinstones that we need in the route, we need that red W-shaped one for the to get to Palace early. We need the 4 green ones. So to do the fusion with the Smith, we need a red arrow-shaped one, or a V.
And we need a RE that we will see later on to unlock the cave with a wallet inside.
We don't necessarily need that. There's some options of what to do. You don't need to ESLO buffer. I have a setup for it that works exactly like Lake House.
Okay.
So yeah, in London Ranch, we need to do the portal jump storage to get to the Tinkle. In the 100% routes, we have a puddle revealed which has a staircase there. So we can do an ocarina glitch just off the staircase. It's really simple. If you fail it, you walk down the staircase, you just walk straight back up and try again. If you don't want to do that fusion, and you can skip that fusion and save about like 20 to 30 seconds, you can do a death abuse off of the ranch house. So just like with Lake House, there's the ESLO buffer setup that you can do to die and do the death abuse, so that you can do an ocarina glitch off the door.
Sorry to interrupt, but this actually skipped a jump, which is very good. And I think you also got 5 and 6 hits, so pretty good RNG on Green Shoe. We didn't really develop what was happening during that dungeon, but as usual, it is a tutorial dungeon. ESLO talks to you a lot, and you want to avoid rolling into it. And overall, pretty good time.
This is the 7th time we've seen Deeper Shrine. It's almost exactly the same time.
So if you want some more explanation on how things work, you can check the previous runs.
Yeah.
Right.
You'll be very confused if this is the first one you're watching. You're like, what is anyone talking about?
Yeah, for sure. Right, back to you, mate.
Yeah. But yeah, so the London Ranch is now another thing that we need to think about. What do you want to do? So the fusion to make the puddle spawn a staircase is the mayor in town, and very conveniently, he owns a kinstone in his basement that he wants to fuse with. So you can do some manipulation or get the kinstone earlier in Fortress or whatever, or if that's too much effort, you can just go down to the basement, grab that quick, and then fuse with him. It adds an extra like 10 seconds.
But thing is, Cecil is probably not gonna fuse with him, right? Are you doing an OG on the London Ranch, Cecil?
Sorry, what? I was muted.
Are you gonna fuse with the mayor to get to
No.
the last hero? Okay.
Not.
Yeah, so we
I'm
will
doing
not
it,
see
the
that.
baby strap.
I'm doing, I think it's mid setup for the
Let's go.
door opening.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm curious to see how it looks like. I have not seen very much about Octoclip route, to be fair, and I've never run it, so I will be...
So the that setup was found algorithmically, because I calculated the number of frames I had to delay Link by to be able to die perfectly on the doorway with just buffered movement.
Okay.
And I calculated how much each item in the game delays Link by, and then did linear algebra and just you know, created a big table and did some maths and found a combination. It turns out that it's a Gust Blast and 2 cane shots. And if you do that, it delays you perfectly. Instead of, like, you know, with the with Yadra setup for Lake House, we do the roll and then an arrow shot. At the Lon Ranch door, we're just going to use a Gust Blast and 2 cane shots.
Right,
Oh yeah, so we got glitches
of the game, just like last week. Very good guard skip. We still don't need to go through him more than once, so we can just not talk to him.
Yeah. So
And then
basically,
that's
what
why-
we explained is the only real difference is there's going to be a load of stuff that's going differently between Ocarina and the water element, and then
Back on track.
not too much different outside of that. Some slight differences here and there, like a manipulation different, or we grab the sword twice, but
Yeah.
it's basically the same.
So overall, we are going to enter droplets late compared to last week, but we will exit it earlier because we don't have to watch any of the Twitch animation and no Octo sucking the element.
We still enter earlier because we're skipping the sword, so
All right.
we do save a bit of time.
Oh yeah, and then we lose some more because we have to fuse the element twice, which is kind of
Yes.
a bummer. Like, you need to do it first the red sword, then the blue sword, and you have to save and quit for that. That's something we realized, I think, years ago when we were skipping fusing for another categories that should not be named. I remember I was there.
Who knew? Miscellaneous categories. The knowledge you learn from those are useful in any percent at some point.
I mean, in a way, knowledge is knowledge, but knowing that you can do the Gaiox fight without clones doesn't mean we are gonna do it anytime soon, even if you actually can go past the big block in the first room. But
Yeah. I guess we can talk. Sorry, you go
I don't know
ahead.
if you said you delayed the Moblin fight with the body cutscene, so that's a time loss later on.
yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. So, the Moblin fight spawns after we get the red sword. If we delay where we get the red sword, then we have to delay the Moblin fight as well. And if we delay the Moblin fight till after the magic boomerang, then the ladder's in the way. And the ladder, Link's going to be climbing up and down the ladder as the fight happens, and that loses some time.
Yeah, and it makes the fight much harder than it used to be.
Yeah. But we have the magic boomerang, which means that we can use it to stun the Moblins, so it's not that bad.
Is it something that people do?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, it makes it much more manageable to deal with the Moblins when you throw the boomerang at one, like, it just becomes part of the regular fight for it.
Alright.
Gotta say that I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so Reynard's Sasson is just climbing Mount Chronal like everyone did before him and probably everyone will ever do after him. And the tricks will resume in Cave of Flames, just like in the Wobble Hub and later routes.
Until people start doing Bootsless Swamp.
Which
And then you would do Chronal Clip here and go straight to Swamp.
before Cave of Flames?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
really?
you can use the Ocarina to do OGs in Cave of Flames.
And would that be worth it? Like,
We do that in the IL because we can.
yeah, but I mean, technically, would that be something you do in any percent? Because you would probably lose time overall to getting the boots.
We don't do it because we lose time overall.
Okay. And also because Bootless Swamp kind of suck.
Yeah, there is no RTA setup for it. It's not even done in a full game task yet, so...
Alright. I know Toadzy did RTA, but with a bunch of save states, so kind of tool assisted. And,
he didn't do RTA, he... Well, yeah,
he was the one playing. He didn't map the input frame by frame, but it wasn't really something you could really expect to see done, maybe ever, as it is now.
Yeah.
Right, how many rocks are gonna hit the Saiyan? Do you think? I said 2.
1. I always assume it's 1, but it's surprising how many times you
was 0,
just never get hit.
Yeah. Feels like we always
like
expect the
the other
worst.
day. Fun.
I bet. Alright, so let's see. Oh, very nice. I'm not gonna bother you at all. Right, perfect. Right, so in this section I have to say it in that screen. Eslo stops to tell you, hey, you should be careful, because those raindrops, since we are very small, they're gonna hurt us a lot. It's gonna do more than a little bit of damage. But the truth is, those raindrops, when they hit you, they only deal a quarter heart of damage, which is the minimum amount. So Eslo is just a fucking liar, and that's a fact. Alright, more rock pushing.
And I said that the other day I dreamed that I discovered a setup to skip this puzzle.
Oh, really?
Funny, yeah.
Haven't we all?
It had
Write it
something
down.
about with the portal and doing a portal item to the stairs.
Yeah.
But probably not happening soon.
Yeah, you can do portal items here with the mitts to get out of bounds. You can't go anywhere with it, and also the problem is you need mitts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned last week Solidify finds a lot of things, and they did find a setup that you can get out of bounds on this trip with like this many items, because you just get one of the beetles to sit on you whilst you're pulling a mushroom. You get flying bounds.
But then you get behind the... You get behind Cave of Flames, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a full soft lock, because you can save and quit and go back to the beginning of the mountain, but it's you can't do anything with it, unfortunately.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Nice damage boost. Oh yeah, we also didn't say anything about the rupee route, but it's just the same since Webble Hub. You go to the fairy cave in the beginning of Chronal, and then you get 20 there and 50 in Cave of Flames, because you completely skip the part with a big chest key, boss key. And we are finally getting to the mines, so we'll finally see some more tricks. The boring part of the run is over.
Yeah, so theoretically we could we might see a change in the rupee route at some point in the future with if Bootsless Swamp becomes a thing. Because then we wouldn't get the boots, so we wouldn't need the rupees to buy the mushroom.
Oh yeah. Well,
it's just so unlikely to happen because the boots is a very useful item. It makes us go very fast, and if we don't get it, we save a lot of time from not getting it, but we lose a lot of time from not using it. So,
I wonder if you just get rid of all the time you spend getting the boots and you keep all the rest as is, but you subtract the time you save by running instead of rolling. How much would you save? Would you even save time?
Oh no, I did a quick calculation and it wasn't close. You lose time.
Okay.
You lose a lot of time.
So yeah, that's probably never going to happen. Maybe get it later, or even better, get it earlier. But the real question is how early.
You also need to remember that like not having the boots makes us not able to do certain tricks like stair clip.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we lose a minute purely to that.
And also you can get some cycles. I'm taking Palace of Winds. If you don't use the boots, you can get the cycle with the fans on the sides.
But then that's when we do the Ocarina boost, and you know, it only saves 1 second if we have the boots, but it could save like 10 seconds if we don't have the boots.
Right. Yeah,
I think people would go for an Ocarina boost to save 10 seconds, right?
I mean, they did go for Casino G to save 40, so why not? But for now, let's assume it's never gonna happen. It's easier for me like that. Session got pretty good RNG in this beginning, I feel like. It was pretty good, especially in the Helmazor room. Okay, never mind, Session got average RNG. Alright, and very soon in the next screen we will get to see bridge strat again. So can we get some quick explanation on how that works? We've said it before, but
with the diagonal angle retention.
Yeah.
So when Link jumps out of a hole, the game assigns him a facing value, but the game does it wrong. It gives him the wrong facing value. It gives him a diagonal facing value in the memory address that's supposed to only be up, down, left, or right. No diagonals allowed. And the game gets very confused by this when you start pushing and pulling objects. And it starts pushing and pulling them diagonally. And how the game calculates collision, it just checks behind Link, and because behind Link is there's no wall or anything, then it's like, okay, we can do the action for pulling this object, so it pulls it diagonally. We're going to pull it out of bounds over this doorway. And then when we pull it back into bounds over the doorway, it deletes the tile of the edge screen transition and just deletes it. It's gone. So now there's a hole in the wall that we're going to use to go out of bounds. We're going to just time a certain number of rolls out of bounds here. And then if the movement's correct, you land on the bridge a couple of rooms away. And you skip having to use a small key. So we now get to save a bunch of time here by just skipping directly to the basement with our saved small key.
Yeah, it's at least a minute, right?
It's 2.5 minutes. Well, sorry, no. The total time saved for Warp Hop in this dungeon is 2.5 minutes.
I'd say it's a minute there and 1.5 next trick, or maybe the other way.
Yeah, I think it's about that.
Yeah, very nice trick. And very well done. If it was slightly too high or too low, it would have been a soft lock, but Sesam being amazing at this game, he never failed it in his entire life.
Babies like me do the easy setup to land on the bridge, which is about a second slower.
Yeah, I would take that second, honestly.
Yeah, I do. I don't trust myself to get correctly timed rolls.
And I mean, who wants to reset 32 minutes in?
Yeah.
I do not.
So here's the second angle retention. We're going to do a couple here to move this pillar out of bounds. Out of this spot here. We're going to save a little bit of time by just pulling it out here. And then we're going to push it against a wall. Now the game's really weird with how it grabs on Link. It makes Link grab onto objects. Link kind of like snaps to a new position when he grabs onto objects. So we exploit that by putting a rollerbite in the wall and then grabbing the pillar whilst doing diagonal angle retention. It puts Link inside the wall, and then the rollerbike pushes him up to touch the screen transition. And then we go to the next room, and we're out of bounds, and we can just skip directly to the boss.
And this is.
And make sure to grab
Debrief.
the fairy, because the fairy's going to be very useful later on in the.
Exactly. The first.
Or here, when
fairies.
if you die from being on low health because the game doesn't give you any hearts from the fire.
Yeah. Well, this usually doesn't happen. Like, it's kind of rare, but you can get hit in between the phases by the falling rocks. But just like the raindrops, they deal a little bit they deal a lot of damage, which is a quarter. And as Sesson is pointing, there are carvings of Gleerock on the wall. And 8. Let's see, they somehow drop. Let's go.
So yeah, with Gleerock, there's some like micro optimizations you can do. If the head falls to the left, to the right, or up, the neck drops a couple frames faster. It's like 10 frames or something like that. But at the very end of the fight, there's a white screen flash when the boss is dead, which we're going to see here.
Yeah.
There.
That's so fast when he's down, holy shit.
Yeah, it holds the screen white and then rotates the model of Gleerock around if it's facing left, right, or up. But if it's facing down, it's already facing in the right direction, so the white flash is instant. And it's only 1 second you can save, but you can save a second if you make Gleerock face down at the end.
And it's not too difficult. I mean, you can lure him in that spot pretty easily. Alright, so far so good. No big mistakes in that run. How are you feeling about it, Sesen?
I have gone like 3 or 4 splits, so I'm feeling alright.
Sick.
Alright. So here we're gonna get the white sword. Is it a white sword in English?
Yeah.
I think it was like that in French. I can't remember.
This is just called the white sword. And that's it. It's just called the white sword.
Yeah.
And then when you get the red one, it's called the white sword
Plus 2 or something.
fire element. Or 2 element. I think it's 2 element.
Alright.
And then the blue one is white sword 3 element.
Right on there. This is a beetle clip, just like last week. So we use the fairy and cancel the animation of dropping the fairy on the signpost. There we do a sword turn so that we still have the push state, and we get.
That was so scary, but Session did it perfectly.
Yeah, that was pretty quick, but also pretty interesting, let's say. But he got it.
You have to line up up within 2 pixels of the edge of the climbing wall. If you go too low, you climb onto the climbing wall. But they managed to land perfectly on the pixel away from the edge.
Yes, Session did it so fast I didn't even have time to explain what that was about. But that's what happened when you have very skilled players running the game. As we only had those kind of runner in this event, of course. Alright, so now it's time for Boots Quest, which, well, there's not much to say, except that the Minish portal is making the emulator scream. And, yeah. Then is just gonna get some magic mushroom to wake up Ram to get his boots. And then the interesting stuff is going to happen, which will be the Castle World area where we're gonna get, well, first a P-Hat clip, but also at least one Kinsol manip. I think Session is doing the triple, which is the good old Vlax manip, except that Instead of going for the fourth one, he's only gonna get 3, which really, if you don't have the red sword, is well, it's not really expected to get the fourth one. It's quite hard without a visual cue. And then another manip to get the.
We
the
have a
piat.
visual cue for it now,
Oh,
so
really?
it's the same difficulty as Red Sword.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
It's just there's still just like a high chance of you not getting it, so
Yeah, it was kind of a 50-50 before. I don't know if it's still more or less the case for the fourth one.
It's basically that, yet still it's basically unchanged. So I still go for it because of I don't like the second Armos clip, but Session's deciding to get the fourth green Kenstone at the second Armos clip in Fortress.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a GP, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, well, in Fortress of Winds itself, I'm gonna be curious to see what we're gonna see, because as we said earlier, Session is gonna need an extra red Kingstone to fuse with the Smith. And so there are a couple of ways to do that. You can get a chest in Fortress of Winds, I think, on the way to the Armor.
There is a chest in Fortress of Winds that has the Kenstone we need for the Smith, but it's located in another part of the dungeon that we don't go to.
Oh.
Yeah, it sucks.
Well,
The other chest that we go by that we never pick up normally in runs, that's the E-shaped one that would open Long on Ranch.
Okay, so then I don't know where it's gonna get it, probably with the manip, but we will see which one. Remember that I think it's Darkness and Armos can drop any kind of Kingstone. You just need to roll the RNG enough.
Yeah, I have scoured Fortress for different ways of getting Kinstone drops. I don't like the Darknut ones. Other people have looked more into continuing the RNG manipulation do from
Armos and
from there through to the Darknut fight. So you manipulate the Darknut fight so it always gives you faster, it gives a dash so that and it also drops the Kinstone so that you can continue the run.
It's the first time I've seen Gojira equipped with boots, but I guess it makes sense. You don't really need the sword before you get to the bow. I wonder why I never thought of that.
This is the new menu that it took someone that hadn't done Wurble Hopper out to just equip the Gust Jar there. Several months after P-Hack Clip was a thing, and then we were just like,
you can see the menu, dude.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was Cakery actually, because they were they started playing a month or two after P-Hack Clip and had never done Wurble Hop. And I was about to correct them. I was like, oh no, there you want to equip the sword because you're about to fight the Darknut that we don't fight anymore, actually. Why do we equip the sword?
Just have it. It's very minor, but still.
So Seal's gonna do Minips now. So that's 2 and 3.
Let's go, perfect. And now it's time for the P-Hat minutes.
Yeah.
Then the actual P-Hat clip. So what happens for that clip?
There is a way of continuing the manipulation from that triple manipulation to manipulating the P as well. But it's awful, and it's really hard. It's very precise. And you need to know Kinstone sparkle patterns. So the easiest thing to do is just to do a save and quit, do the standard P-Hat manipulation. So Session's going to be manipulating P-Hat into the corner over here because there is a oversight in this bridge, and if we put it in the right spot, I think he's got it. Do a boot dash, we clip through the corner, and we're on layer 2, so we run over the top of all the collision.
Easy money. And then he's just gonna enter a Fortress of Winds fast like that. And if you are tired of manip, well, too bad for you, because there's gonna be at least 2 more right there. Right now he's gonna do another 7 quid to do the best trick in the game, after Cannonless of course, which is Armor Sandwich. He's gonna get clipped in between 2 Armoses and pull a lever. And that looks very cool. I like that trick a lot.
Yeah. So all of this is another. It's pretty simple stuff. We're just doing the movement through all of these rooms that is the fastest, and that we've practiced a lot. So it's all just pure muscle memory.
Let's go.
Nice.
And now I'm curious which Killstone the sun will get there.
Yeah, so it's going to be 4 boot dashes and then a spin attack, and that gives us a red arrow.
Which is the one we need for the... Alright. Then right now he only needs the last green, which he can get on the other armors. I wonder if it like, well, what's the best between getting the red then the green, or the green then the red with those 2 armors?
I don't think there is a early red from the second Armis clip. You have to do a lot of boot dashes.
Yeah. It's optimal to do it like that.
Yeah.
I don't know where the closest one's located in the RNG.
Alright, a little bit disappointing that this Darkner didn't want to cooperate, but
yeah,
it's not too bad. And another manip. Just one more, which is gonna be the one for the good old Armor clip, getting a GP and then doing the Polar Item all at once. So like in a matter of like 2 or 3 minutes, we've done a lot of stuff between the different manip in Castle Wales, the clips, then the one there.
This is such a tricky section of the run now.
Yeah, very filled with tricks and glitches. No extra spark.
Nice.
Perfect. Yeah, I was counting as well, and everything was perfect.
I still have the table up for that. I hate that second Armis.
Yeah, what you need to know is that there, Sen didn't get the clip instantly. What you usually do is 3 boot dashes, which is like 3 times 3 ticks of the boots that roll energy by 4 each, and then 2 sword slashes. Since you had to do 2 extra rolls, you had to do 2 slashes less, but you can do 2 slashes less. You need at least 1 to kill the armors. So what he decided to do is to do 2 dashes and then 2 ticks. So you have 4 extra calls, and so he did 2 extra sword slashes before. That's a lot of work to just say that he did some math in his head and adjusted the energy value. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it really shows that he's knowledgeable enough to adjust. Like, that's something if you don't really know what you are doing, and even if you know what you are doing, sometimes it's really hard to adapt on the go like that.
If you don't want to how many extra rolls you needed to, and then it getting that there. Because there isn't just one green GP kinstone in the RNG.
Oh, really?
There are two separated by 2 RNG calls. So I always chose the one that was the most convenient one.
The second.
The other arm.
No.
Oh no.
Alright, at least he didn't have time to do hit other attacks. First mistake of the game, 49 minutes in. It is still, I think, a very
Honestly,
good run overall.
you take a mistake like that over something like
Yeah.
P-Hat or Armos Clip.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was probably like 15 seconds. It wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know where you are in your split, but it seems like a very solid run to me. We're still skipping this hot container because, well, Lake House is not too far. And actually, even more than Lake House, you actually need to die for the last single brother, so that's even sooner now.
Yes, so here's where things are going to start to get a little bit different.
Yeah.
So we can see on the
Kinstone list.
in the kinstone list of what we have, and we got the 4 kinstones, the 4 green kinstones. We've got a red arrow shaped, and below that's going to be another red W shape. But yeah, so now we're going to go over to Smith's house. Who thought that we would ever come back into Link's house
That's
a second time in the run?
That's an extra Eslo text.
Yeah.
And I have to say, luckily, this is the first Kinstone we can fuse with him, because Smith has 2 Kinstones. If you ran a handle, you know. It could have been the second one, and then you would have needed an extra green. Is it always the same for Smith, or is it a shared one?
It is always the same.
Always the same, at least.
Yeah.
And but it would have
I
been
believe
easily
it's a
30
G
seconds.
square.
Again.
I can't remember off
Yeah.
the top of my head.
Same.
100 runners, no.
Well, I don't. But this is how we get the second photo. And now all we need is just to do, well, the rest of the
Yeah.
what you call it.
Here's another slight awkward part of the run. Cool, we grabbed a bottle. We need to fill it with a fairy. And how are we gonna do that?
Yeah.
So luckily there are
options.
many trees dotted around in the overworld that we can bonk into, and they can drop fairies.
But they also can drop something else.
Yeah, so they have a 15 in 16 chance of dropping a fairy, and they have a 1 in 16 chance of dropping a kinstone.
What will it be? Oh,
which you
so
can-
far so good. We got a fairy.
You can get really unlucky. I have had 3 kinstone drops in a row
Which is like
from
what?
the various trees, which is just insane. That's a 1 in 16.
Times 1 in 16 times 1 in 16.
Yeah, cubed. That's how low the odds are.
Let's assume it never happens.
Yeah,
Except when it does. But
except it does.
yeah.
So the trees don't respawn the fairy until you have gone to 8 brand new rooms.
Alright.
So you can't return back to that room. You have to go to 8 different rooms, and then you can come back to that room, and then the tree will have been properly respawned with the fairy. But we don't want to do that because that's really slow. So there are 3 convenient ones that we can go
Yeah.
to.
And if
that-
nothing works at the cave itself, I will feel, I guess, better at the
Oh,
point.
one of the trees is guaranteed. So
Okay.
the 3rd tree is guaranteed. So if you get bad and get 2 kinstones in a row, you're not going to get you're guaranteed to get a fairy on the next one. But Session's going to be doing a Death Abuse here.
Yeah, this is a
with a setup.
This is a setup.
Very
Alright.
nice.
And now it's time for an ocarina glitch. Oh, you have enough room to do modern there.
Yeah, that's
Barely.
cool. So here we're going to do portal jump storage. So it's just as simple as getting Ocarina Glitch and then trying to jump on the portal.
Yeah. But to play the ocarina, you need to press the button of the ocarina and R at the same frame. And also,
Yeah.
do not, for the love of God, do not try to jump out while Link is playing the ocarina, because else you will suffer. You need to wait for him to be done. Maybe, you know what, just wait 2 extra seconds so you can jump over the bird and then you can do it. That's a mistake I think we've all done at least once when we tried that trick for the first time.
Yeah, definitely.
But
That trick is really complex. Like, there's a ton of stuff you can do with portal jump storage. We're doing the basic version there, where we just jump straight away to get some extra distance. But you can change your facing direction with a sword or a shield, and you can use the gust jar to push yourself along, and you can move around. You can move to other areas of the game and jump out of bounds. There's some really cool out of bounds stuff that you can do with it. That unfortunately none of it is actually useful in the speedrun, but there is a small application that we have here, which is very nice.
yeah. Well, now for if entering droplets, the sun needs 2 more things to get another fairy and
Yeah.
also to lower his health. Luckily, there's some vines on a tree nearby, and that's the fastest way to take damage, really.
Yeah, and luckily the tree is on the way to a tree that we're going to bonk into to get a fairy, so just going to go over to the right here. And then there's if you can get lucky with your subpixels, you can kind of like get wedged into the thorns and just don't bonk, and you just stay in the spot.
Alright.
You can damage down. And yeah, Session got lucky and got both of them as fairies.
Yeah.
I think they didn't get unlucky.
Yeah. It's not luck at that point.
Yeah. And everything's pretty normal now. We're just going to be doing the
Lake
House OG that we've seen a few times now. Yeah, this bit of the run is a little bit scary because of the number of tricks that you're doing that could potentially kill your run if you do the inputs wrong. So in marathon settings like this, we have to save because it's too much of a risk to mess it up and then just the run is over.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, even if in a real run setting I would save, was probably because I don't like to reset that far in. Like, even if I lose a minute or something, I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna keep going with the run and take it as practice, honestly. Right, but now we are in Temple of Droplets, so what's gonna happen in that dungeon compared to last times?
So we are going to do very similar things where we're going to get Ocarina Glitch, but we're not going to push that lever or the lever because we don't need a small key. We're never going to get a small key in this dungeon. We're just going to go directly to the boss key.
All right.
Because we want to do a boss store clip to go to get our lantern.
Okay. And that
now, normally we would use the boss store. Sorry.
And that keeps a Neslo trigger, right? Very important.
Yes, it does skip an ESLO trigger. Normally we would use the boss key to go to the blue warp, because the blue warp is a nice central location that we can go to Blue Chew. We can go to all of the switches, all from that location, which is very convenient. But if we don't want to go to the switches, that means we can go directly to Blue Chew. So we're going to do that. We're going to go out of bounds. You just do a dash for like some blind movement here, and then you land in this spot here, and we roll down, and we're in the boss room, and it's that fast.
Very easy.
Yeah, that movement's pretty easy as well. It's not that hard at all, and it skips small keys. So all we need is the lantern, and then once we have the lantern, we can go to Octo to fight the boss.
Yeah, I can see how faster this dungeon can be. Then you have one less, one fewer ice puzzle. You go straight there. You don't watch any cutscenes.
So I timed all of the dungeons across all of the routes to see how they've changed over time. Templar Droplets has been very consistently around the 10-minute mark across all routes. Even when we got Flipper Skip to do the boss door clips and all of that stuff, really only saved like 40 seconds or so. It brought it from just above 10 minutes to just under 10 minutes. In this route, you can get it close to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This dungeon is so fast now, it's lightning fast.
Speaking of lightning, Sesen is using that blue shoe to lower his health. I don't know exactly how much you want. Is it 1/4 or 1/2 maybe?
So we are going to die in the next area.
Yeah.
The flying pots do a 1/4 heart.
Okay.
I hope Session doesn't listen to me and just goes by what they know.
Alright, and right there, Sesen is gonna do Octo clip. As a reminder, since this is a marathon setting, we won't mind if Sesen decides to use a save state to get that trick, but we will see what he decides to do.
Yeah, they're still going for a PB at the moment.
Yeah.
So we are taking damage from the flying pot so that we're one hit away from dying, and then we need to maneuver this pot all the way through this area.
That was scary.
Yeah, it's a bit scary. So we're going to position it here, and then this setup is going to be lightning fast. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So they did all of the setup fine, and then they died to the first flying pot that hit them perfectly, and then the second flying pot came and hit them, and they used the shield, and then tried to press the ocarina, and the ocarina input was late, so the shield got hit, but then the ocarina didn't play. So it's literally a frame perfect input of there's a pause buffer done to try and prepare yourself for it, but really you're having to just press the ocarina at the right time. Yes, that's great. The pots don't like to behave around the ESO triggers. Lovely. Yes.
Second try, very good. Still.
Yeah, well done.
Very, very good.
Yeah, that's really, really tricky.
Oh, the only thing is I think I did an extra roll, so I don't think I would be able to do mine.
Alright. So yeah, my question was how
you
does
keep
Octo
going
Manic
with the
work?
minute, and it's likely it can still work. Even if the RNG was one off, you can still get it.
Yeah. So how does it work? Is it another manip? Is it the same manip but the
This is
rock
a
pattern
different
will work?
manipulation. That looks correct. So it would be 3 rolls to the corner from here. Yeah. Yes, TGH made their own Octo manipulation for this section because we're entering on a completely different RNG value. Most of the fight's going to look the same, but the RNG values are different. The rock patterns are different. So we just kind of like decided to do the same movement, but stand in slightly different spots and look for different patterns.
Right.
That one looks pretty standard. 4 should work? Yes.
All right.
Nice.
Very nice. Octoclip second try, Octomanate.
Yeah.
Really, very solid run in my book. I have no idea what time.
This is pretty-
But yeah, very good. And now the rest of the run is going to be exactly the same as last week. So same as P hat week. We are done with the new stuff.
Not yet.
Oh yeah, not
there
yet,
are
right.
some slight differences.
Right. We need to go to Sanctuary.
I don't know what time we're at the moment. Yeah, we are. If you're looking at the timer now is a lot lower than the timer was last week because we are still missing a few things. We haven't watched some cutscenes for from fighting the moblins, and also we didn't upgrade our swords. So
Right.
all of those were things that we did earlier that added time to the run to this point.
So it's time to go upgrade our sword. Luckily enough, just like last week, since we never saw the king being sexually abused cutscene, we will not have to, well, sneak past the guard. It's a good thing.
And yeah, when we went past the boomerang trees, we didn't get the cutscene with the moblin fight yet because that will trigger once we get the red sword.
Yeah, like 2 red sword.
But we're not going to fight that right away because when we get we're going to upgrade to the red sword and then to the blue sword.
We're gonna use the ocarina.
We want to go to Palace, so we might as well just use the ocarina to fly there straight away.
It's only gonna be on the way back.
Yes, the time gets added on after we get the wind element and go to Dark Arrow Castle. We then need to do the moblin fight, which I think adds about 40 seconds to maybe a minute.
Yeah, that's
that
about
section.
right.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you have to equip the sword because you need to exit the sanctuary. You don't need the sword to fuse the element into it, but you need it to do that. Because if you try to leave without doing that spin attack, I think Ezlo doesn't let you or something.
Yes, there's a big trigger zone from where the top elements are down, that if you are in that area, Ezlo will talk to you and then push you up a little bit.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
if you're really far down, it doesn't ever deactivate, so Ezlo will talk to you, push you up a little bit, talk to you again, push you up a little bit, talk to you again, and just repeat that, slowly moving you up, and it's very slow.
Yeah, I remember those shenanigans from back then. Alright, but now it's time for Palace of Winds, which is probably the most chill dungeon. Maybe after Debrief Shrine, if you can consider that chill in terms of what is happening inside. Like no big tricks that are scary like Fortress of Winds or even Cave of Flame because of the RNG and because of the bridge strat with the angle retention glitch. Palace of Winds is just cool.
So what happened with the pedestal is that the pedestal function to like play the cutscene and give you an item is a script, and the script loads in what conditions it wants to check. So it checks Link's inventory as like what items does he have. It checks that when the room loads. So you can't get the red sword from the pedestal and then try and give the red sword onto the pedestal to get the blue sword, because as far as the script is aware, you don't have the red sword. Yeah. So you need to leave the room and come back for the script to reload correctly.
And the fastest way is to do a save and quit.
So yeah, we do a save and quit, because that's the only way we can get out of that.
Well, you could do the spin attack thingy and exit and come back, I suppose, but.
Yes, yeah, you can do the you can leave and then but it's
slower.
Yeah.
So those stealthers were not nice.
Yeah. Classic first room palace.
It's the only bit of RNG in that dungeon, I want to say. Well, except for Gaiox, but let's separate the boss and the dungeon. The rest is pretty standard, but that room, man, that room. Nice.
And this room as well, RNG.
Yeah. Not as impactful, though.
There used to be a load of other RNG parts of this dungeon, which we've seen over the last few weeks. Things like the P-hats in the second half when we're trying to use bombs to blow up a switch and sword slash it. The Moblin and Wizroad fight at the top of the dungeon.
Very nice fight.
Now the dungeon is so distilled down to just the
core movement.
Really, it's just the best part of the dungeon. It's just all the fun tricks, and there's nothing else really that we would want to get. There's a ton of other stuff in the rest of the game that would be like, oh, can we get something to speed that up or to skip that? But Palace is just in a really good place right now, where it's.
Well, maybe the first room to not need the blue sword, but it's not for that dungeon itself. It's more for the convenience and not having to fuse before. Go setup, best setup.
Nice.
Let's go and get grabbed by the floor masters.
Yeah. Shout out to the task that's just gonna dash into the middle of that room, in the middle of the wall masters, and not get grabbed.
Oh, is it? Maybe if the task gets bad RNG.
Oh, the task is gonna desync.
Right. Pretty good big combo, I should say. I have the word in French, but not in English.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh. That's a really late jump. That very rarely skip the fan in that first section.
Alright, and very soon we're gonna get to the boss fights already.
Yeah, the only downside to this dungeon is it feels like it goes by too fast.
I think Sesen is gonna grab a ferry.
Yeah, those chain soldiers are real bullies. Their chain and will hit you and do an entire heart of damage.
Yeah.
So you get unlucky and you get hit twice or 3 times and you've basically lost half your health.
And conveniently enough, that spark respawns in between rooms, so you can just get some health and for extra safety, even other one in a bottle.
Yeah, we're playing any percent. We're not playing glitchless. You don't need to worry about your health in any percent. Just use the boomerang.
Exactly. Alright, then time for Glirog. So as usual, in that fight, what you really want is to kill the blue ones in one spin attack and kill the red one, or at least get each phase without losing your clones. The rest is very minor. And the way to do that for the red one is to kind of lure the attacks of the blue ones on the sides, in between the time where the eyes are opened, and for that one you position nicely and you do a spin attack at the right timing and you hit it twice to do 4 damage.
Luckily for us in this fight, basically the only things that are decided by RNG are the eye positions and the directions that the Georgs decide to point when they fly around. Which means that the first parts of that fight are basically completely scripted. It's exactly the same every single time. So we get used to exactly how and what directions the projectiles fly. But when it comes to this part of the fight, this is essentially random, and we have to just react to how it. That's one of the scarier parts of the third section.
Very nice. So all the blue got killed.
Really nice. Oh no! Yeah, you got it.
Very good fight. With some nice RNG, but mostly good positioning on the blue ones.
Yeah. Yeah, with a slightly better spin attack at the end that was like, you can't hope for better than that. And it's still that lost like a second to have to do another slash. So, yes, that was still an amazing Georg fight.
Alright, and now, well, there's not much left in the run. The Sun just needs to go back to the Sanctuary to fuse. He's gonna get the Eslo story cutscene quite late. I mean, you're supposed to get that, I don't know, like 40 minutes ago, but that's alright. And then DHC.
I think Glitchless already sees this cutscene.
Oh yeah, I mean
before this point.
Yeah, for sure. Because you get it
at this time of the run.
I think you get it at around 45 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Let's see that fight. I'm kind of curious because, well, as Myth said, Link will be placed in the middle of the arena, which is, well, there.
Yeah, basically the moblin on the right kind of always dashes like that, but the one on the left doesn't, so you kind of hold left and throw the boomerang, and it stuns the one on the left, and then the moblin above you kind of runs into the corner, so you quick kill the moblin that's stuck in the corner, and then you go and kill the one that's stunned. And it's very fast and consistent. But still, it would have only saved like a second or so over the fight Session got, because the moblins don't really lose that much time. Getting hit by them is annoying. Because you lose an entire heart and you're about to go into Dark Horror Castle, which is the hardest dungeon in the game, and you don't want to be losing health before you've even got in the dungeon.
Yeah.
But Session has a fairy in a bottle. They're very safe.
Nothing can stop him now.
He's having such a good time. He's having a ball.
So DHC is going to be business as usual. We're gonna get the stair clip at the beginning, right after exiting the sanctuary, just like last week. But all the rest is gonna be exactly the same as it ever was, basically.
Yeah, this is the point of convergence where it's now exactly the same as where all of the other runs are. So this is the point that we measure, like, how much time would this route save up to this point, and
An intricate scene again. Nice breathing room before the last part.
yeah, the only thing that could ruin this run now is a reset. Oh no!
This joke is even older than the lyric on the walls.
He's doing the intro again.
But no, that's not the intro cutscene because there's an extra panel. Where...
What happened to the king?
What?
He just blew up.
Yeah, since we're skipping the best cutscene, we actually don't see that Vardy is doing something to the king. Maybe the king was Vardy all along. It's the first cutscene as well. Alright, so in next room we're gonna see cutscene walking, which, well, is basically the same as ever was. Just about pretty high, but maybe it work.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, it's just about unfreezing the NPCs and having them talk to you, unstuck you, basically. And let's see how Sen gets his star clip.
Interesting.
You deserve to die.
I don't know if that's a consistent setup, but...
No, it's not.
That was fast enough.
Yes, luckily the... oh, nice roll.
Very nice. Yeah, getting stuck on that ledge or not is pixel dependent, I think. So
yeah.
If you get the right subpixel, you can just walk off, and that's much better than using the cape and jumping. Not only does it save a menu, it also is faster, so that's cool. And
I mean, we've got a setup for not using the cape. You can brush against a corner and then do a slash turn and then a boot dash, and it's pretty much 100% consistent. Doing a roll is luck-based because it depends on what your subpixel is.
Alright, and System got canonless, so now we know who got and who didn't get it. And I can say everybody got it except for Quo and Yumi. 5 out of 7?
Did I not get it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Unless I'm slandering you live on the internet, but that's what I wrote in my notes.
Okay.
I can check
can't
if you
remember.
want. But yeah,
I can't remember my run. It was bad anyway.
5 out of 7 seems pretty accurate in terms of stats.
Everything got a bit hazy after the nightmare.
Yeah. I can blame you for that, honestly.
Hey, I got Vatimep all the way through.
You did.
Sure.
I mean, you technically got Brzezinski first try. The hard part of
Oh yeah, and then
you rolled too
I
good.
rolled like a pixel early.
Yep.
I don't know if I have bombs. I think I have one left.
You're probably fine.
It's fine if you got at least one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have one.
You can't kill Vati with bombs.
Can you kill him with a ferry? you can kill him with water,
No.
right?
With water? No.
Really?
No. We tried doing it.
disappointing. Right, but a very solid DHC so far. There's only one more OG to go.
Yep, passed. And then we've got some fun door jumps to do.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. No more OGs.
Finally free.
Dumb trick can go away.
Alright. Sisson might heal or might not since he has a free in a bottle. Maybe up to him what he's gonna do on the next room.
I think it's pretty safe to go for a quick heal. It's like a second or so.
I probably would as well.
You're getting...
I wasn't gonna do it, but I will do it.
Yeah.
This one is old school. He's doing
Old
that
school.
setup.
Yeah, not much left now. It's there's 3 of the 4 small keys that we need for this dungeon.
Yep.
So time to head over to the last room to get that small key, and then begin the Vati minute.
Kind of funny. Oh, nice concern for good luck. Kind of funny to me how it used to be the Dark Knight manip, but now it's heavily referred as the Vati manip, as if it was like a given that it was gonna go past Dark Knights, which is not. Like it's still pretty difficult. Nice ghost.
I think we've all worked on improving the Dark Knight manip enough to get it to a point where it's really consistent.
And also maybe the overall level of people running that game seriously has improved. Like it's a given that someone who takes this game seriously is gonna do a Dark Knight manip and get it most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point the time loss that you get in Vati is too much to ignore. You can have a really good run and lose so much time just to Vati. Yeah. Because Session doesn't have all of their bombs anymore, they got a shell drop, but the shell drop doesn't change the RNG manipulation at all.
That 2-second time loss. And so quickly before it gets to the Dark Knight fight itself, this is kind of a gauntlet. You need to go through a couple of rooms, kill 3 Dark Knights in under 3 minutes, I think, and then it's Vati 1, 2, and 3 in a row. Heavily RNG, especially Vati 1 and 2. This is why we would rather manip them. Starting now. Very good. I think Sesen is doing Navilin's manip.
Yeah, I see lots of people doing that as a safer method of ending the fight.
And also it makes, I think Valley 1 is is a little bit slower, but it's easier than Vlax one.
Oh, is it a different RNG?
I'm not sure.
I assumed it would be the same, but I haven't looked at Vlax in a long time.
Alright. Last phase. Perfect. It doesn't really matter that Sesen missed a couple of slashes at the end because, well, unless he planned to carry it to Valley 2, but for Valley 1 it doesn't matter. It was a very fast fight.
Yeah, Vati 1 loses a lot of time to RNG because of teleport, so
Yeah.
getting 0 teleports is a huge amount of time saved.
Or at least only one, but a fast one and one that was accounted for in the manip, so...
Yeah, I think that you are required to have a minimum of 1
Oh, really?
teleport. Yeah, I don't think it's actually possible to get no teleports. I haven't looked into it into too much detail. But this is looking like a really good Vati 2
Yeah,
so
Valley
far.
2 is Alright, the hardest part of the third phase is to get the 4 eyes open. They were taking the long way. Should be good. Very nice.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, that was... Yeah, Session decided to play it really safe there and make sure that they created their clones, avoiding Vati and letting it do an extra half rotation around.
Yeah.
They could have been greedy and gone for a fast one, but it wasn't. You got to make these kinds of decisions when you're doing Vati 2.
Yeah, as I like to say, Valley 2 is all about how you can minimize your risk. So if something goes wrong, you can assume everything's gonna go well after that and take a lot of risk. But then if you get punished, it's your own fault because you decided to be greedy. And there, Session decided to not be greedy, and I think he got rewarded by that. And now it's time for Valley 3.
Yeah, with a run like this, you're not going to try and save 5 seconds on Vati 2. You've done all of the stuff that you want to to get a good time, and at this point it's just tap it in, get it across the line.
Yeah.
Don't lose more time than you need.
Alright, first arm. It was the right arm at least.
Yeah, very convenient first arm eye as well, just heading directly towards you. That's kind of what you hope for. Second arm's being a little bit slow, not that slow, but it could have been a bit faster.
Yeah. You got it.
Oh, very nice. Again, double like perfect luck with the main eye coming directly towards Link to get stunned.
All right.
And now it's final phase, just tennis to go.
Let's hope for no electric first phase. Let's go.
Very nice.
This one was slightly to the left. I was very scared.
Do you remember if anyone got electricity in first cycle?
I don't. I should check that at some point, but I think it was pretty rare because everybody knows how to deal with Body 3 by now. So I think most people got in front of him as fast as possible and managed to not get electrocuted.
I mean, it's a pure RNG chance. There's a 25% chance, no matter what your movement is, that they'll fire electricity. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, GG's.
That's a 1:34.06, and I'm pretty sure that's a PB.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a 2 minutes PB. I think I lost the 133 on the second arm because I got stuck in between ice and couldn't hit the right one. But it's still a really insane PB.
Yeah, that's great to get on in a marathon as well.
Especially, you got Octo clip second try. You did everything very well, and that's the second PB of our marathon actually.
Yeah.
Earlier and system, very good, very nice. Right, so what do you think of your performance, Sisen? Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm really happy. I think the only thing that I messed up was second try Octoclip. The rest was like the average OGs tries and stuff, but I think I didn't fail a major trick besides Octoclip.
No, the biggest mistake before Octoclip I've seen was Mazal fight. You lost like 15 or something because you forgot to kill one of the hands, which is something that will never happen again. But except for that, I mean, even Palace was pretty good. Your Gaiok fight was very clean, and not much to say. It was a very, very solid run. Alright, so Myth is finalizing something. We have some graphs that we are gonna show you and discuss a little bit, but first...
That's a 3404, right?
3406.
Oh, 06.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so before that, we will switch to the interview scene to have a few words with Cesar, and then Myth will talk to us about some... intricate.
Got some charts.
Well, but before the chart, we will talk about the leaderboard standing and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then the final chart. Alright, so we'll switch to the other scene. If you can mute the game, Cecil. Alright.
Okay, now it's mute.
All good. Right, so that's a PB for you, Susan. What's your goal for this route currently? What do you expect to get, really?
I mean, I was expecting just a PB, like beating my old PB. When, I think it was yesterday or the day before that I thought like I could really get a 134 really easily, and this run showed it. So I think I will push for the first try up to 133, and I think that's a good goal for this run for now.
All right. So do you think you're gonna run it some more?
I think I don't know if like right away, but I will definitely come back sooner than later to the run.
All right. Nice. Well, follow Sissen's channel if you want to see him do more attempts pretty soon. Now, as for Myth, you might have a few words about the standing of the leaderboard and some of the history of that route.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention in some of the last weeks how many people had run the routes, and they were mostly in the 40 to 50 range, except for Bracelet Skip, which had 3 people. And Octoclip is closer to the Bracelet Skip amount. It's actually got far more than 3. There's 11 people, and Session's run is just up that to 12. And so the top 5 that we have for the Octoclip route. In first place, we've got TGH, who has the current world record as well as the route record for 127.40. They're the only person to have got a sub 130 run so far. Second place is Toads, who has a 130 16. They said that earlier this year. Martin is in third place with a 132.07 because they're on Switch. And I've got a
Wow.
132.12, which is only 5 seconds slower, and I'm on emulator.
You got a
I'm not
142.
salty. No, Martin's legitimately got third place over me. I need to actually beat that. I need to come back and run this category again. And then in fifth place we've got Semi, who has a 133.13, who also did a run earlier this year.
Yeah, and
on Wii.
And so those are the current leaderboard standings, but very recently Nitro's, Fire and Martin have been doing a lot of races, almost daily, and Nitro's actually yesterday got a 132.20 in a run.
Oh, they did? Oh,
Yeah.
They didn't submit it?
No, not yet. Well, since they're playing every day, and in that run he actually forgot to tingle, so I guess he lost like 40 seconds or something. Those three runners, very good runner, actually being very active right now on race time and improving their times. So you have some competition with.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to be racing to get that sub 130.
That's for sure.
It's the new sub 140.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go for that though, but if you want to go for it, more power to you. And so, as we said earlier, we have prepared some graph about some of the point we talked about in the past. So this one is about the RNG on Octo. The Octo fight has been very iconic for a very, very long time, and so we went a little bit more in depth about that. And so basically, this is how the fight will go most of the time. You can get 0, 1, or 2 inks. You can also get some charge in between, but those are not as significant as the amount of ink. And so it's basically a 25% chance of getting 0 ink. A little bit over 50 to get 1 ink, which is what you should expect. And the rest of the time is 2 ink, which is less than 20%, so less than 1 out of 5 runs. And we actually, in this event, we got two inks.
Yeah. So these values are data mined from the game. We use decomp to the decompilation project to understand how the game runs by analyzing the code of the game written in the C programming language. And that just tells the rules of what Octo is allowed to do, how it uses the RNG number that it's given to figure out what it should do. And using that information, we can construct some statistics and probabilities here, and that's where we got these numbers from.
Yep. And well, to put those proportion into more perspective, this is the times you can the time you get with how many ink you get. So in red, this is what you get in a row time if you have 0, 1, or 2 ink. So you can see it's basically 30 seconds extra each time. But on average, if you don't manipulate, it's purely random, and it's around 2 minutes and 8 seconds. What you should expect, which is basically 1 ink, but a little bit less, more or less. But since the manip appeared and got pretty popular, manip that was made by Toad and then by TTH and who else was it? Was it Flag as well who helped him, or was it TTH all alone who adapted Toad's manip for the Octoclip route?
It was just TGH that did the manip. Vlak was the one that did the Octoclip setup,
okay,
but then TGH improved the setup and turned it into a manipulation.
All right. So with the manip and assuming a 90% success rate, because you can always screw it up one way or another, it's an average on 143 for the fight. So that manip saved 25 seconds on every run, basically. So big thank you to Toads for finding that first manip, and shout outs to everyone who actually learned it and put it in their runs, really. And so another question that I had with that event was that's kind of funny to see how the run and the route change all over the years, and we got more and more tricks.
Yeah.
the run is still heavily focused on movement, but you have more and more tricks, and that graph that Myth made me show that we went from 12 or 13 tricks in the legacy route to over 30 now. So about that, can you explain to us what you would define as a trick in that graph, Myth?
Yeah, so it is a bit arbitrary what you consider a trick versus not, but I decided to go on the idea of wherever you get to a part of the game that you kind of like stop playing the game normally or intended and start like staying in the kind of the same place that you are, just spending some time in order to be able to perform something. Um, like that's kind of the definition I use. So that encompasses like each and every ocarina glitch, manipulation, out of bounds clip, and so on.
Yeah.
So these are just the raw numbers as well. So for example, with the legacy route, the vast majority of them are just an ocarina glitch on a doorway. That's most of them. Whereas when we look at Octo clip, it's so different. Every single one is something weird and complicated, like the death abuse in Lon Ranch, or the it's not just the same thing kind of repeated
again,
10
yeah.
times.
Yeah, maybe we should have had another graph with how many different tricks you perform in each run, but
yeah,
that might be for some bonus later. Funny thing is that the flipper skip and process skip have exactly the same amount of tricks, but that's because you get one out. You don't do Lady OG in process skip, but you do in flipper skip, and you trade that for the actual bracelet skip. But don't be fooled, the process skip route is much more difficult than the flipper skip one. And then another question is how much time you spend inside a dungeon versus outside a dungeon, and that graph is a little bit more difficult to read because it goes all over the place. In yellow you can see that the ratio, so it's inside the dungeon divided by the outside. Basically it got, well, we spent less and less time outside, well, inside as well, but we decrease the inside of the dungeon faster than we decrease the outside, because, well, the main part that we skip is with the Windstripe fusion that was there since the beginning, really. And the real question is what happened in Bracelet and Pirate Clip, really, to have that surge that comes out again?
Yeah, the so it like as the amount of time spent inside in dungeons and outside dungeons changes across the different routes. It really depended on what the kind of discoveries we made were. So with like on the first one, when you go from legacy to portal items, the red ones, the red bars kind of go down a very small amount because we didn't discover anything new outside of dungeons. That's kind of just optimization of movement. Whereas the blue bar kind of drops massively because we discovered portal items, so we could skip half a fortress and save a lot of time there. Flippers skip, it's a drop in both because we both save a bunch of time in like Palace and Templar droplets from being able to do the boss door clip. But we also save time by not having to go and get the flippers. Bracelet skip is basically almost exactly the same, but we're going to spend a little bit more time inside of Palace of Winds to be able to do avoid having to get the bracelets. It's wait, no, sorry, it was it's sorry, with the raw values, Palace is actually a minute faster. It's just that it looks higher on the graph because calling out Darky here, their run was just worse in the other dungeons, because these are taken from the world record values, not just arbitrary route big timings. So, but I guess that's kind of fair when you think about how bracelet skipped worked. where it was so rare to get a run to the finish. It wasn't a perfect run, it was just the fastest at the time.
Yeah. For sure.
And then Wobble Hop, basically outside of the dungeon doesn't really change that much. There's a little bit of a decrease because of the just optimizations of movement, but there's a huge drop inside the dungeons because when all of the Wobble Hops are inside dungeons, we're skipping a load in Cave of Flames and we're skipping some time in Palace of Winds. P-Hat, when we get P-Hat Clip,
Exact opposite.
We get P-Hat Clip and Chronal Clip, and some of the stair clips as well, but the P-Hat Clip and the Chronal Clip is all outside of dungeons. So the red bar drops down, but the blue bar stays kind of roughly exactly the same. And then we have Octo Clip. Octo Clip, we end up spending more time outside of the dungeon than we do in P-Hat Clip because, well, we need to go and get a bottle. So, we're trading that extra time outside of the dungeon, but we get to save a load of time inside of Templar Droplets. We save 4.5 minutes inside of Templar Droplets.
Yeah.
And that brings the inside and outside time for the whole game in Octoclip to pretty much exactly the same time. When I timed TGH's world record, it's 5 seconds difference. And you spend 5 seconds longer outside of a dungeon, which is the first time in the history of the game. We've always spent more time inside of dungeons than outside of dungeons, and now it's the other way around, where we can skip dungeons so fast that we're spending more time getting to them.
Yeah, especially in the early game, I assume, like once you are in. Actually, no, I was gonna say once you are in Fortress of Winds, you don't really spend time outside, but they're still getting the bottle. But this might be a turning point for the TMC history. Maybe next time we will spend more time outside than inside, and by a large margin. And finally, the last graph I wanted to show you was that one, which is basically a summary of our event. So we choose to compare the event run in blue, the top 10 average in red, and the world record in yellow. And you can see that it's basically kind of a straight line. It's always more or less the same with each time. Well, Octo and Bracelet Key being especially over what we see because of survivor bias, I suppose, because all the Bracelet Keep run got resetted if there was a big mistake being failing the trick, which is exactly what happened in your run, actually. So this shows that this is not a route that is marathon friendly, and also that, well, you can't really rely on that kind of data to see what is an average run for those ones. And I want to say the same with Octoclip. I assume most people who did it and got a PB got it first try, so failing it once is kind of an instant reset, or at least a run that will not PB. And that's pretty much about it. Most of the runs were pretty close to the average as well. What do you think?
Yeah, Fires and Darkies runs are scarily close.
Yeah, well, that's Fire and Darky, honestly. I am surprised that Legacy is a little bit over the top 10 average, but that being said, I think Quo didn't do all the best thing possible for the Legacy route.
I should explain what top 10 means here.
Yeah.
It's top 10 runs performed of that route.
Oh, okay.
So I do have some more data on that, like how many it was of each. So back in that Legacy run, we had NB with the record, but they only ever performed 3 of the top 10.
Okay.
Chaos Knight in second place did 4 of them because they just did more runs, trying to grind up to getting that sub 2 hour time. So they have more of them, and then Toads have 2 of them, and Atros has 1 of them. For portal items, we have Toads with 4 of them, DBX had 3, and Fire Turtle had 3.
For Flipper Skip, Darky was 9 of them.
Toads was 2, Fire Turtle was 2, Vlak was 3 and Darky was 3. So you kind of see you got the big 3 there,
Yeah.
and they're going to stay around for a while. Because then in Bracelet Skip, there weren't 10 runs total performed.
Yeah.
There were 6 in total. So 1 from Toads, 2 from Vlak, and 3 from Darky.
Which is why the top 10 average and the world record are so close, because there just were not enough data.
Yeah. Then with Warblehop, Warblehop was really just dominated by 2. Toads had 4 and Vlak had 6.
Yeah.
When you see if you go onto the leaderboards and look at the obsoleted runs, you see Vlak getting like 10, 15, 20 second PBs and just like 5 or 6 in a row over a period of a week or so, just absolutely grinding out the game.
Yeah, he was very active back then.
Yeah. The same thing happens in when we look at P-Hack Clip. Vlak has 8 of the top 10 P-Hack Clip runs, which is an active category that a lot of people play right now. Vlak has 8 of the top best runs, and top 10 best.
And the other 2 are TGH.
TGH has the other 2.
Yeah, yeah, that just goes to show that you can practice all you want. At some point you need to grind out runs, and if you can do that over and over again for a long period of time, you will improve and you will get the top times you seek. And Vlak was really grinding his heart out back then, and then TGH did as well. And so that explains perfectly how it came to be that way, despite Bihad being still active right now.
Yeah. And then finally with Octo Clip, we have TGH with 6 runs. Toads has 2, Martin has 1, and I have 1.
All right.
That's the top 10s. There are we have more runs, but they're not in that top 10.
And I guess no very top 10 is Nitro's run that's not on the leaderboard just yet for Octoclip, since he has a 132 something. Remember, but
yeah, mine is the gatekeeper at the moment of the top 10.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the craft. Is there anything you want to add, Cicerone, about your run, about the event, about your life? Anything really?
I was actually listening to the stats because I was surprised by some of them.
Yeah.
I thank you for the invitation. I know I didn't apply to it. It was more of like a last minute call, but I'm thankful I did it, and that I did it great. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You did a really good job.
Thank you for
standing in this big again, Myth.
You're welcome. Myth, do you have any final words for this event?
Yeah, thank you, PK, for coming up with the idea of this when you approached me with it. I thought it was a fantastic idea to remember the history of our speed game. It's been so active over the last 10 years, and I hope it's been really fun for everyone to see how it's changed and developed up to this point now, and that we might think that we're possibly in a bit of a dark period right now, where it's not the most active and it's not the most competitive for the world record, but we've seen this in the past, and it's not guaranteed to stay like this forever. There's a new discovery around the corner, and the history's forever changing.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of runners just like me are just waiting for a slightly more convenient route. Octoclip is not as bad as Bracelet Skip once was, but still quite a gap to learn, and quite an investment of time and energy to grind that route, and maybe a lot of people are just waiting for the next route, really. At least I am. All right, well, thank you very much for joining me on this event, Myth, and thank you to Cesen and all of our runners for participating in it. I had a lot of fun putting it all out, and yeah, I'm glad we did that.